he broke this story and deserves the credit for it. He joins us tonight with an update. Luke, thanks so much for coming on. Everything about this story is stomach-turning. Tell us where we are tonight, please.
Well, yesterday the kid was convicted in court of both assaults. The first one that happened in a bathroom where he was convicted of rape. And then the second one where the school didn't tell anyone it had happened, transferred him to a different school, and he was arrested on October 6th. I broke that story on your show a couple weeks ago and in the Daily Wire, and most of the media largely ignored it because they said it was unsubstantiated. 2 days ago, Barack Obama alluded to it while campaigning with Terry McAuliffe, calling it phony right-wing outrage. Yesterday, everything was substantiated in court, including a bizarre detail that the fact that this kid was wearing a skirt is actually central to his defense. He claims that his wristwatch got caught on the skirt he was wearing while he was hanging out in the girl's bathroom, and that caused inadvertent sexual contact to occur.
So Barack Obama, who really is a heartless monster, and I'm glad that's clear to everyone now, described the rape of a child as phony right-wing outrage?
This is what, he's talking about parents being up in arms in Virginia and basically claiming it's all cultural war stuff. First of all, I never really cared about the fact that this is transgender. The bigger issue here is that school districts do not have the same priorities as parents. And that's really what Terry McAuliffe hit the nail on the head with, saying, he doesn't think parents should be telling schools what to teach. The head of the teachers union said something similar this week. So the issue is, what's the appropriate role for parents in schools? And the Democrats seem to think they don't have one. These are our kids. We're going to raise them in these government schools. The problem is the main case study that they had for this Parents Are Bad movement, it turned out to be a total hoax. I mean, this guy who was arrested, and he looks like a blue-collar guy. He's angry at school board meeting. They thought he was a bigot. Maybe he was opposed to masks. The clip that the media had the whole time of him, you can hear his wife screaming at the end as her husband is hauled away in handcuffs. My daughter was raped in school, and this is what happened. So no one asked this guy why he was mad. We also found out this week that the White House worked with the National School Boards Association to write the letter that called this guy and other parents domestic terrorists, which the DOJ then used to justify FBI involvement.
Yeah, so your daughter gets raped in a school bathroom, the school doesn't care or even keep track of the rape, and then you get denounced by the president and the DOJ as a domestic terrorist for complaining about it. It really does tell you everything. We wouldn't know this without your reporting. Luke Rosiak, thank you.
Thank you.
So it just so happens there is a governor's race in Virginia right now. It's an off-year election. Next Tuesday is the election. Now, Democrats are panicking. This story has got to be having an effect on the race because the former Democratic governor, Terry McAuliffe, who is running again, has basically endorsed what the school did. He's running against a Republican called Glenn Youngkin. And as of tonight, they appear to be tied in the polls. Keep in mind, Virginia is now a solidly blue state. So this is an all-hands-on-deck moment for the Democratic Party, and that's why you're seeing Joe Biden on stage. This is live right now. He's just wrapped up a campaign event for the indefensible Terry McAuliffe. Great question. What's going to happen? Well, it turns out Virginia Democrats have worked to make many changes to the way Virginians vote. Many of the due to COVID changes of last year are now permanent. For example, a Virginia law signed this year mandates that localities have a drop-off location for absentee ballots. The Washington Times is reporting the Republican volunteers are guarding some of the unattended drop-off boxes. So what's going to happen here and why? Britt Hume is a Fox News senior political analyst and for years lived in the Commonwealth of Virginia. He joins us tonight with his best analysis. Britt, thanks so much for coming on. So what do you think is going to happen and why?
Well, consider this, Tucker. It was only just a short few weeks ago that Terry McAuliffe was complaining that Joe Biden's unpopularity and his low approval rating was dragging his, that is to say, McAuliffe's campaign down. And tonight, there he is, Biden with him in Virginia. This is a candidate running scared, very scared, and for good reason. He was never picked to be a candidate who would have any trouble getting elected. And now, as you point out, solidly blue Virginia when this year began. And this guy, Glenn Youngkin, is somebody nobody ever heard of. He's a political novice, very successful businessman, but a political novice. He's run a disciplined campaign, and McAuliffe has made one blunder after another, not the least of which was his assertion in a public meeting just a few weeks ago that he didn't want to have parents telling school boards what to teach the kids. Now, that is a widely shared view in the Democratic Party, but it is not a widely shared view across the body politic as a whole. Independents don't like it, and Republicans obviously It was as big a political blunder as I think I've seen in a long time. So he is in trouble, is Terry McAuliffe. He may pull this out. As I say, Virginia is a very blue state. But he is worried, he is scared, and the presence of the president there is only the most recent manifestation of that.
I don't know if you can see the pictures, Britt, and I can't help but to comment on them since they're live on the screen right now. But here you have Joe Biden, who has endorsed mandatory masks for small children in schools, panting on strangers without a mask. Nobody at this event has a mask, getting very close to the face of some woman right now, another woman right now. How can they square this behavior with their demands that the rest of us plebes cover our faces and the faces of our children?
Well, they obviously can't, Tucker, and I think what the president probably knows, whether he ever admitted, is that the science on masking is doubtful. And if anybody wants to wear one, I'm not going to discourage them. But my guess is the president isn't sick, won't get sick, and the people around him won't either. But it is hypocrisy on a grand scale with the administration telling everybody that we got to mask kids in schools and all the rest of it.
So the McAuliffe campaign brought in former President Barack Obama, who has, we have heard in the previous segment, dismissed this rape as phony outrage. I wonder, is, just from your reporting on politics this year, is Obama still a person who can get Democrats out to the polls?
I think so. I think he can help. I think even Biden can get them. Look, these big names and people like Obama and Biden, they probably can't swing elections, but they can do a couple of things. One is they can usually help you raise money, particularly a sitting president, because people will turn out in numbers and pay a lot of money to go to have dinner with the president, or to be able to say they did and maybe get a picture taken with him. So they're good fundraisers, and they can help turn out crowds. Whether they can swing this election, I don't know. But think of this stuff that McAuliffe has been saying. He's made up all kinds of wild numbers about the COVID presence in the state of Virginia and in the schools. He's been slapped down with 4 Pinocchios from the Washington Post left-leaning fact checker. So this is a man in trouble, and that is why we're seeing all these characters rolling into Virginia to campaign for him. If he loses, if Terry McAuliffe loses, it will be seen as a political earthquake. And if the Democrats weren't already worried about what's going to happen to them in 2022, they will be terrified if that comes. But look, the fact that the race is even close at all, and it is very close indeed from the polling, ought to be terrifying to Democrats that they're on the wrong course and need to change. Doubt they will, but that ought to be the message.
We've got these mesmerizing live pictures of Joe Biden breathing on strangers up on the screen. So for our viewers who've been transfixed and haven't listened to our conversation, just want to ask, is Glenn Youngkin, do you think, I think we're talking to him later this week, is he been pressing on the school issue, the idea that parents ought to have some say in what their own children learn?
Oh yeah, he's made it a central issue in the campaign, and this is a phenomenon that I've seen happen in races through the years, where a candidate who's behind and doing the best he can suddenly hits on an issue that resonates with voters in a way that moves the needle. And this education issue at this point, with all of these restrictions on our kids going to school and all the COVID pain and suffering kids have been through, this has hit a nerve. And he has pounded it, and pounded it hard. He's been very disciplined about it. One of the wild charges that McAuliffe makes is that Youngkin is a Donald Trump clone. Well, he certainly is not.
No.
Trump has endorsed him, and he hasn't rejected the endorsement. On the other hand, Trump had very little to do with his campaign, and if anything, this is a guy that kind of came out of nowhere on his own and on the strength of his campaign, which has been pretty well run. And McAuliffe keeps making this charge over and over again. It ought to tell, by the way, Trump-backing Republicans something, that Democrats now find that Trump is their best issue, and he may indeed be their best issue.
Yeah, that's amazing. If he wins, that will be perfect. Britt Hume, I appreciate that. Great to see you tonight. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.